January 23rd, 1912. The International Opium Convention is signed. It says, in part, if you're a cop, you have to tell us if you're a cop. Welcome to The Revisionists, the show where we take history and see if we can punch it up. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And our guest tonight is a hilarious Denver comic and a writer for Westward, Byron Gharam.
On the live start already. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
They can't hear you.
Oh, really?
No, they can't hear your cries for help or see the plaintive look in your eyes when you realize that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, if you're just joining us, what we do on the show is each episode we take a topic from history. One host presents a true story, and one host comes up with an alternate history. And the winning story becomes our accepted history going forward.
And you, the listeners, decide, except when we say you don't, in which case one of us does.
Yes, basically. Speaking of, last episode, Tutankhamun, the vote is in, and the winning story is the true story.
A big get for truth, which is a real underdog on this show, if I may say.
I think this is the third time the truth has won.
Out of like 10 episodes? Yeah.
Yep. Because the truth doesn't have time travel or a bunch of fuckfests.
No.
Actually,
yes,
no, it has fuckfests.
There's plenty of fuckfests.
It has fuckfests aplenty.
Not in Tutankhamun's
FFAP.
case.
Well,
far too much malaria for an effective fuckfest ratio.
Well, it's definitely not effective fuckfest.
No.
The fuckfest effectiveness.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's been studies, and malaria is certainly not one of the factors in an ideal fuckfest scenario.
What are the fuckfest factors? I'm trying. Sorry, alliteration.
I think wetness.
We could call that humidity.
Friction?
Let's call it humidity.
People. I would assume people. Animals, maybe. That just depends the era and what you're into.
The era?
Yeah, I mean,
how does the era?
I feel like
affect
people
that?
would have been more okay with it, like in ancient Rome. That was a segue.
See, I thought you were going like Cretaceous.
Okay, when there were no people.
Oh, yeah, well, definitely in those times.
Yes, there was only animal fucking. Oh, god damn it.
Is it on now? I'm still not.
I don't. Well, I mean, history is cyclical, so we will come back to an era where this is okay.
Yeah.
Presumably after the collapse.
Animal fuckfests are still okay if it's only animals, I think.
I think. Sure, there's no one judging them.
No.
Intraspecies is fine. I mean, I feel like as long as it's the human rhetoric that makes it a problem. You know what I mean? We have a system of consent established in our language.
Really, it's the way we think about words that's the problem. Let's talk about how words have different meanings to different people.
That's the problem
and
in an intraspecies fuckfest. What I'm saying, like, a chipmunk and a squirrel can go at it all they like. They're pretty similar, I feel like, and no one's going to say
close
boo.
enough. That's like pretty good.
Meanwhile,
that's
a
like
human person and
that's a solid 85% match between a squirrel and a chipmunk.
The chipmunk.
If they were on OK Cupid,
you gotta tiptoe
chipmunk,
with people.
That's more friend than enemy.
You gotta dip their toes into the interspecies water.
Right.
But
humans, no, only fuck humans.
Right.
All right. Good advice.
Listeners, if you take anything away from this episode, please, God, let it be that.
Only fuck humans who've said yes.
Yes. We're going to expand on this point, I'm going to say, because there's a lot more caveats to cover.
Oh, sure.
But for now, we'll baby steps. Only fuck humans.
That is definitely rule number one. If you're doing that, you can keep going.
Well, no. But
if you're not doing that, repeat step one.
Yes, there's a series of steps.
We'll put up a fuck flow chart on the website.
You know what, though? Inanimate objects are okay. I'm going to go ahead and call it.
They have no memory.
You're calling it. For
making the decision.
The debate that's been raging for years. Whether it's okay for a human to fuck a book. It's finally been settled. I mean, if
it's your book.
If it's your book.
Don't go to the library and fuck a book.
Again, if you take anything from this episode, and it has to be one thing, that's also a good candidate.
Only fuck your own books.
Great. I think that's our new slogan, guys.
Only fuck your own books.
Getting that on a t-shirt.
It kind of works. It kind of works for the theme of this show.
Kind of. I think. How?
I don't know, assuming it's a history book.
Okay. Well, this week we're talking about the fall of Rome. And it's our last episode where we're going to be talking about ancient history. After this, we're going to be moving on to a new chapter. Byron, you're going to be presenting the true story.
Nice specific topic. Not too much to it. Just real quick thing.
Yeah.
There's not even like a 3-volume classic book written about it.
Mm-hmm.
This episode's going to be 3 minutes long.
So everybody. They fell down the stairs. They forgot their life alert. That was it.
Sure. And we're mostly going to be talking about things you shouldn't fuck. So it's going to be a little light on the
Which
history.
is really a lot of the story of Roman history as we've discussed it so far.
Sure. One of them, slaves.
Yep.
Don't
You know
do
what?
it.
Let's just start from the basis. Don't
have
slaves.
them. Don't have them.
Cut the middleman on that one.
I'm also I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Don't conquer people. Don't conquer people. Don't slaughter their men and then capture their women and children. I'm gonna say, and then make them serve you in your opulent baths.
I mean, I feel like we're doing a real public service with this one, guys.
Yeah, I feel like people need to know.
I imagine someone listening to this podcast with a sword in hand, ready to run out the door. It's just like, wait.
Can the cover image for this episode just be that "The More You Know" star coming across?
Of course. But it's getting fucked by a cartoon G.I. Joe.
Inanimate object. It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay, yeah, I guess a star would be inanimate.
As long
You
as
can
it's
catch
It's a
one?
gas. I wouldn't fuck it, but you know what? If you can,
They say don't get too close, but I don't. I was really hoping a punchline would have arrived by the time the setup
the
left my
words got
mouth.
from your brain
you're
to
just
your
running
mouth.
down the train
I was
tracks,
just-
following a
It
train.
was
that
just
wasn't
a Hail
there.
Mary, and it just collapsed.
Try to get the train to Hogwarts, and you ran into a brick wall. That's sad. That's what just happened. Oh. Well, Byron, if you want to...
Okay, sure. Actually, I mean, slave labor really was an over-reliance on slave labor had really weakened Rome towards the end. They hadn't conquered any new lands in a while.
The
Hadrian's
spark had gone out of their relationship with the surrounding countries.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for an empire that had stretched from like the Euphrates to Hadrian's Wall, it had started receding. The Huns swept
something in the
through
neighborhood of-
northern Europe.
2.2 million square miles, something in that neighborhood. More, I don't know.
A very large, contiguous land empire.
Yeah,
Real
huge.
big, like real big. That's the technical. That's historians refer to it as a real big empire.
Real, yeah. It took me a minute to understand. I was like, rule book? What the fuck are you talking? Nothing in the rule book about having a large empire.
I'll allow it.
But they had
Emperor Airbud. That should have been one of the Airbud movies.
Really, if you want to point to the decline of the Roman Empire,
It's when they decided
That
that there was
golden
nothing in the rule
retriever.
book that said dogs could be emperors. Of
I mean, that doesn't mean it's not a bad idea.
I mean, those Caligula with the horse, that could have been. I feel like that's not 100% out of the question. Those Romans got up to some shit. I
overlooked this in our Caligula episode, but there's a story that Caligula appointed a horse as a senator.
Yeah.
Totally skipped that when I did the real story of Caligula. That's now the fake story of Caligula.
Because Caligula is a time-traveling
Of course,
music
DJ,
producer, author, I believe. I forget.
Yeah, he's written some
I
books.
forget what the fuck Vanderploeg said.
Oh, he made up a whole fake life for Caligula?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll refer to the
No,
Caligula
a real
episode.
life for
Real life.
Caligula.
Because, again, we've changed history.
Oh, okay. That's the conceit of the podcast. That's right.
Also, Julius Caesar fought ghouls. I forgot about that. I should have mentioned.
Yes.
Oh man! So now I've got to read. So after the ghoul attack, Rome was really weakened.
The ghoul resurgence.
They had decentralized Roman power by Emperor Diocletian, split the empire, started the East Wing in Byzantium. The wing
The
of
less
the
popular
empire.
spin-off of the West Wing.
Yeah.
The East Wing, it's too Byzantine. The plot just too much.
God, fucking damn it.
That was a real nexus of dumb and intelligent.
Oh yeah, that was just
because it was possibly the dumbest thing I could have said.
What's the opposite of a
But you have to know what Byzantine means
Yeah.
in like a cultural criticism way.
Right.
And a historical,
Yeah.
historically, what Byzantine means.
That's what my specialty is. It's just real dumb jokes
You just
that you
recorded your
need to
first
be
number
smart.
one joke. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You've had many number one jokes.
But also, yeah, an interesting thing that I found when I was reading it up in the 15 minutes or so before I came over here
Not to pull back the curtain too much.
was lead. They had lead piping. They would boil their wine in lead casks.
Yeah,
like,
so we're
to
about to see
ferment
the
it.
fall of Flint, Michigan. Also, not to date this podcast.
You guys, like another
you,
one
Michael
of many public service announcements. Don't drink lead. Don't drink it.
Yeah.
Again,
I'm going to put this third on the list of things that we've public service announced in this particular episode, but it's still
Fuck
important.
only consenting people.
or inanimate objects.
Don't
Or
have slaves.
Don't have slaves.
Number 3, with a bullet, don't
Don't drink
lead.
lead or any lead-based products. There's a theory that like the decline of use of lead-based paint has made us a less violent society, and crime rates have decreased. Like pretty, I don't know if there's like a correlation causality issue there, but they've declined along with the decline of the use of lead-based paint. And they said that it made Romans aggressive, and they were prone to gout and other diseases.
Lead and gout. That's the two things it did.
Try not to have gout. That's another.
We're just getting them all knocked out of the
This
way.
is a very strident and preachy
most
podcast.
people,
Really,
listening-
just my New Year's resolution.
Yeah,
At a
be
certain
honest
point.
with
I'm going to try not to get gout this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna
For most
release
people
my
listening,
slaves.
some of these are really not concerns that you're going to face in your day-to-day life. But just in case, if somebody offers you some gout on the street,
Are you aware what diseases are?
Hey man, you want that gout? Get it?
Hey man, I got a bit of renal failure.
got that gout. I mean, that's also probably drugs, which you shouldn't do.
What? I don't understand why we're not selling our drugs. We keep naming them after gout and other kidney diseases.
Yeah.
Is gout a kidney disease? I don't know.
I know your foot gets swelled up.
Yeah.
Swole up, real
Swole
big.
up, real
It gets swole up, real big.
Yeah, it's
Like
what that
bigger
one
than
prince
the
in
Rome.
Game of Thrones has, guys. For reference. If you need a gout reference and you watch a lot of HBO, that one prince in Game of Thrones who's in the bed, he's got the gout.
Sure. The guy from Mad Max with the
Oh, for sure.
the
people
Bullet
eater.
Town guy.
Oh, yeah.
He had gout
the
for
bullet
sure.
farmer.
Yeah, because he could just move his gouty foot over. That was an awesome movie, you guys. If you
Number
could-
another
five,
public service
Mad
announcement.
Max
Watch Mad Max
Watch Mad
Fury
Max
Road.
Fury Road. It's a great time. They don't all have to be bummers. They don't all have to shame
Hey,
you
this is
into.
not just a to-don't list. It's a to-do list.
I mean, I feel like if we could work an epic car chase into the revisionist story,
Oh,
everyone
so-
would be better off.
It's the 11th hour. I'll see what I can do.
It really doesn't have to involve much dialogue.
Let's see. Also, the arrival of the Huns in Northern Europe pushed Germanic tribes downwards, and some of them had been trained, but like as part of Roman legions. So, like a lot of the people who ended up sacking Rome were trained by Roman soldiers. But they're, all your Germanic tribes, your Goths, your Vandals.
Yeah.
Goths and Vandals, and a cultural departure from the tradition of smoking under the bleachers and freaking out the squares.
In the
Ramones
cultural
were there.
tradition of skipping debate class.
You could tell that that's the thing that I had planned. And I was like a little embarrassed by the time I
But
got
you're
it. I was
also
like,
eager. There
I was like, I
eagerness in
need
your
to
eyes.
you were
get
hungry.
it out. I wrote it down, and it's the only thing I wrote down.
You have to let it out.
could
of your
jot down
brain
these
before it
dates
becomes
or facts.
Yeah, I had to get it out and never think about it again.
It's a joke everyone made in middle school history class in their
It's
notebook.
so easy. Yeah.
Before deciding not to show it to anyone ever.
Yeah, they showed it to their good friend Jeremy, and he didn't laugh, and they were like, "I guess not."
Yeah. I do like the
That Jeremy
idea.
went to private school. Because he kept burning things down.
Oh, now we have a whole history for Jeremy that you went to middle school with. Yeah, he's in prison now.
Yeah, called that one, Jeremy.
I just think, like, if you think of the imagery of a bunch of, like, black lipstick, pallid, skinny teens just, like, shuffling towards Rome, like, barely carrying, like, with their spears, like, would be great.
A bunch of gladiators freaking out about the encroaching army.
For the listeners, I was pantomiming the posture of a disinterested teen centurion.
It looked like a bunch of marshmallows rolling down a hill.
Their battle music is My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, exactly. It's a reflection of sort of the slower decline of the Roman Empire, because earlier on in the life of the empire, they would conscript the Germanic, the barbarian tribes into the army and get them training. But they'd also settle them, give them land and give them money. But when they have less land to give and less money to give, the barbarians become disaffected and much like teenagers.
And power hungry.
And early on, like, they had their own standing army, but as people became increasingly disinterested in that, more reliance on the old... And I think part of that...
easily, like, corrupt. You know, you could buy a senator pretty easily.
And a lot of people say part of that is when Constantine switched the empire over to Christianity, which made a lot of the people in the empire pacifists and unwilling to fight the encroaching hordes, and B, kind of tore down a lot of the religious tolerance that had existed prior to that for non-Christians, which was
in a weird
Which is
combination
a lot
of
of their
things.
conquered people. Yeah.
So there are a lot of factors on the road that have been building up. Basically, there's a lot of argument about which emperor was the peak of Roman power. Some people say Trajan or Hadrian.
Some people say Airbud.
Airbud. Well, I would say Airbud was the nadir of Roman power, but
He landed some sick shots.
Okay.
Airbud was just shooting threes while Rome burned.
Classic story, yeah.
Exactly. He was like the Steph Curry of ancient Rome. Wow, topical sports
There we
reference.
go.
It's sad. It is sad that that all the Air Buddies were killed after the revolution.
They could have lived they could have served King Alaric. It's like, oh, it's a purpose.
But really, they presented too much of a challenge to the throne.
Exactly.
So they all had to be put
Lines
to
of
sleep.
secession, what they were.
Well, of course, he told the Roman people he took them to a nice farm upstate.
But that was just the Western Roman Empire and the city of Rome itself that was sacked and fell. The Byzantine Empire went on until like 1400.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Ottomans, they got it.
And they say that the last emperor was a child emperor named Romulus, who an invading barbarian kicked off. A guy named like Osidor. Don't know how to pronounce his name.
Something like that. Osidor.
Kicked off the throne.
Sure.
And a lot of historians point to that as the death knell.
Do they make that sound?
Every time.
Just
Every
like,
time.
Yep, that's the sound of
You know, the Roman
So
Empire.
did Romulus.
greatest empires ending.
Every
We're
time an
hearing
empire
that sound
ends.
in Washington, D.C. right
Every
now.
time an empire ends, there's a guy standing there like, this is
Well, really, it's that guy who causes the fall of empires.
Yeah, it's a real Robert Todd Lincoln situation. He's always there.
What?
Robert Todd Lincoln was in the city for 3 separate presidential assassinations. Come on, people. This is a history fucking podcast.
Of course, it all falls into place. It's like the cigarette smoking man told me that.
He missed Kennedy.
Yeah, well, I would hope, because then he's a vampire.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll get to that.
You could do a Robert Todd Lincoln episode.
Yeah, that's true. Probably we'll do a whole bunch on Lincoln, actually, specifically.
Now, how many episodes can you do on... We're already going to turn him into a fucking, like, alien or some shit, and then what?
Not to spoil it, because haven't read that story yet. But
So stay tuned to the Revisionist podcast, guys.
Yeah.
Once they get into when America was a thing, it's going to be great.
We're going to know a lot more of what we're talking about. We actually learned this shit.
we're
in
going to
school.
think we know a lot more of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's just skip right past that part.
Yeah, I went to school in Texas, so they didn't really talk about that. Topical.
Well, Byron, thank you.
Thank you. Any historians listening, I get that I resound remarkably uninformed.
That's perfectly okay.
A lot of people use this to write essays and things for class.
Oh, sure.
So
That's on my vision board for this podcast. Is that I get a complaint from someone who's like, I got an F on my report.
a confused
Because I looked up
13-year-old.
history podcast.
You know what, though? If there is a confused, 13, 12-year-old listening to this to
Sure.
write his essay, he learned a lot of valuable lessons this episode about what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, exactly. And anyway, Zach, I believe it's your turn.
Well, the Roman Empire was one of the greatest empires the world has ever seen. It's indisputable. And a lot of people will tell you that's because their technology was more advanced, or they had a better organized society, or because they're shrewd leaders, but really, it's because they had what every empire had, a magic diamond under the capital.
God damn it.
Couldn't quite get through that one.
You were building up to it so much.
You can still see the magic diamond. It's underneath the Colosseum.
Well, it was called the Soul of Rome, and it was the biggest, most coveted diamond in the entire world. And obviously, magic diamonds give large empires their life force emanating through the entire region.
Obviously.
Everybody knows this. It's basic fact. Obviously, this thing needed to be protected from thieves. Everybody's going to want a magic
I
fucking
like how he
diamond.
looked around before he said thieves, as if one might be behind you.
This is a known
And near the
thieves'
beginning
den.
of the Roman Empire, a woman named Goody Gerwin, who appeared from nowhere one day.
Greta Gerwig, who is this?
Goody Gerwin, she claimed she came from a magical land called Salem.
Oh, okay.
And she was a science mastermind. And she created the most elaborate, impossible to get through security system for this diamond that the world has ever seen.
Did it involve lasers?
Oh, you bet it involved lasers. What kind of a good...
The temerity of me to ask.
Are you fucking kidding? Who designs an elaborate security system and is like, maybe we shouldn't have lasers? Idiots, that's who. First thing I have listed, laser grid, obviously. Proximity tiles, DNA scanners, guard tigers, a 50-inch solid steel safe, a highly trained team of Roman legionnaires called SEAL Team VI. Don't worry, I was worse than I did one worse than you, Byron. Don't worry.
It's no 1%.
No, the 1%'s never gonna get
That's
topped.
untouchable.
Anachronisms are fun.
A spirit bombed with the current sitting emperor that was only broken for 15 minutes after the emperor left the throne or died. The only time the gem was vulnerable. And it was run, the entire grid was run on the piety of the people towards the Roman gods, which was harnessed into pure power with a backup grid streaming from Byzantium. How could you ever get through?
How could you? You would have to have an incredible team of burglars.
Sounds like quite a caper.
One day on the streets of Rome.
Some
Picture
sort of
this.
pickpockets killed.
A child with a simple grift.
Just a pickpocketing street urchin.
Simple card grift that he uses to get minor ducats away from the commoners in the street. One day, a guard catches on to his con and grabs him by the arm, takes him away, when a mysterious stranger steps out. Let the kid go, he says.
Would you not?
Tosses him a golden coin. The guard, agitated, agrees to the terms, knowing this is quite the payday. Walks away. The kid thanks the stranger. Why would you do that just for me? Been watching you for a while, kid, and I think you got the gifts. I think you are exactly who we need on our team. Wow, you'd really spend that much for me?
This is an elaborate scene.
Fake coin, kid. First trick of the trade. He takes him back to a secret bunker in the heart of Rome.
Oh, God.
Where he meets the team. The team assembled to steal the soul of Rome. Let me see, I got a list here somewhere. It's here. We got the con man. Mm-hmm. Jesus Quick J. Christ. The kid just added to the team is going to become the insider, Constantine, with con spelled in big letters. The invader, Osador. The son, Constantinus, the first emperor of Byzantium, who will shut down the power grid. Spoiler.
You're telling the story. Why
The wheelman, Jimmy.
Yep.
Scarface Jack, the explosive guy. Nitroglycerin Nick, the ghoul wrangler. I may have mixed up those last two. The leader, George Clooney. I have to stop here and say this is not our George Clooney. It's a historical George Clooney who is separate from our George Clooney.
Right. George's Clunas.
And of course, the final member, Vin Diesel. Now, this is our Vin Diesel. He's a golem.
Yeah, that follows.
So this team sets to work on the elaborate plan to steal the soul of Rome. First thing they got to do, they got to get down that piety power. They got to get rid of the old Roman gods. How do you do that? Easy, says Quick J, lighting a cigarette in the corner. You got to start a con religion. You know what happens next. Jesus sets off to Israel, where he recruits a smaller team of con artists to create this con religion. And Constantine, he ascends to the throne. All of these people live hundreds of years because they drank a potion or some shit, okay?
This is a long con.
It's the longest con in history. Constantine ascends the throne. He assumes Christianity as the state religion. That piety power is down. He cuts Rome in two, cutting Byzantium off, and puts his own son, Constantinus, I put air quotes around son, it's not really his son, it's a con, in charge. And he shuts down that power grid. Well, all that's left is for the ghoul wrangler, Scarface Jack, to get the ghouls together to assault Rome. Hence the sacking of Rome by the Visigoths, a.k.a. the ghouls that we all know lived in the area at the time.
Of course.
Sure.
And the weakening of Rome substantially. Well, there's still one problem. The soul bond between the gem and the ruling emperor. That's where Osador comes in.
But that's just a 15-minute window, right?
It is just a 15-minute window, so they're going to have to work fast once they get in.
And there's tigers and tigers and lasers.
Well, the laser grid's down because they cut the power.
Oh, okay. And the tigers are down because they cut the power.
Right.
They're
and
electric tigers. The Romans were very sophisticated.
SEAL Team VI got called away to fight the ghouls, of course.
Of course.
I mean, it's still 6. It's not... They don't...
So Osador kicks the reigning emperor off the throne. They got 15 minutes and they get in there quick. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong. But somehow, through a stroke of luck...
What could go wrong? You skipped the whole part of the...
Like, 3 of them get eaten by the fucking tigers.
Okay. That is a lot that could go wrong.
George Clooney gets eaten by a tiger. And they bomb the vault. They get through. They steal the gem. And that's it for the Roman Empire. It's downhill from there. They fence the gem. Goes through a few different owners. No one knows where it is now. Unless somebody in another episode says this is where it is now. And then that's where it is now.
Of course.
That's the short story. The long and short of it. The long con and short of it.
So I guess that's a pun.
Sure. I'll take it.
I did write like a few. I came up with a couple Rome puns.
I kind of have to ask.
I mean, I feel like it'd be really tiresome to get into all these puns.
Well, I ask.
But I gotta call them like a coliseum.
You won me back. Oh,
there's more.
reach into bag, pull out
my
scroll.
phone. Oh, it's just been all day.
You wrote a whole app that's just like Roman pun generator.
Yeah. These puns are really coming in kicks and Spartas. Oh!
That's
Off
what?
the top of my head.
Fuck you.
You guys
Fuck
have
you.
to come up with some better jokes for them. Think of your listeners. God damn it.
Also works as an internet pun.
Yeah,
Oh, is it?
Well, forums are a thing.
Let's not stretch the word words
Oh.
too far. Beyond its breaking point.
I felt like Ty Brissom was the best one I came up with.
Get that one out in front.
It hits a sweet spot between dumb and smart.
All right, well,
I think that we may.
that was the stupidest alternate history I've ever written. But we'll see how the listeners like it.
Well, those were both two delightful tales.
Now that I know how it works, I want to do one of those.
Well, we'll schedule that then.
I'm much better at like creating silly things than knowing how history transpired.
Well, those two great tales. Listeners, I'm going to open the vote to you. You can cast your vote at revisionistpodcast.com using the contact form.
I'm going to vote on air for Zach's.
All right.
That's a big get.
Big get.
That is...
Seeding the original history already.
Inaugural on-air vote.
And really, well, we've had...
I think that's a revisionist first.
That is. So, congratulations. You win this plaque.
All
That
right.
says, no new cavities. This is the first plaque I could think of. Did not think of that pun either.
Oh boy, so many puns, you guys.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We've established that we have a pun board, and we can't leave the podcast until it's full.
It's a big thermometer.
Yeah.
Well, we got the mercury to rise a little bit. Come on, that's a god, right?
That's
Sure, that's a god. We'll put it on there.
That's a god. Yep, exactly what we were all thinking.
Well, no, because a thermometer
Has
the mercury
in it, yes,
rises.
I understand how the pun.
So, like, the punometer rises.
we all follow. That aspect of it was clear.
Mercury.
The explanation isn't lending much to the joke.
Mercury, a god of the Roman pantheon.
Okay. Yes. Yep. Those are my favorite kind of jokes. And I hate myself for laughing at them, but I can't help it. So you can contact us at revisionistpodcast.com or on Twitter or Facebook. And if you really want to help out the podcast, one of the best things you can do is write a review on iTunes.
Yeah. Do write a good review for the revisionists on iTunes.
5 stars.
5 stars. We will accept 4. 3 is,
You're pushing it, yeah.
2 and 1. What are you doing?
I mean,
That's...
you're fucking us here, is what you're doing.
Please don't fuck us. That's lower down on the list.
Unless we consent.
Exactly.
Unless we consent.
And you're a human.
Yes. I don't know if animals can really consent to fuck someone.
No, they just take it. They just take it from you like beasts.
God damn it. The look in your eyes. I would convey it in words, but my tongue can't bring such darkness to life. Byron, you're a comic writer all over town, but you're going to be hosting one edition of the Funny Final Four coming up.
That's right. February 24th, 8 o'clock, post-meridium.
And that
at
is
Comedy Works downtown.
a tournament competition between
It is.
teams of comedians.
Yeah, so there are 4 captains. We each pick 12 comics, and then we face off, and whoever
In
brings
physical
the most...
combat.
Yeah, it's not about comedy at all.
And when
This
it's
is
12
blood
comedians
sport.
in physical combat, it's the least satisfying night out you could ever experience.
It really is. It's a bunch of people who don't know how to fight, but have nothing left. So it's just savagery. It's so much like gladiatorial combat,
Exactly.
except instead of like men plucked from various empires
It's
at
men,
the peak
children.
of physical condition. It's obese men, children,
Yeah.
and
Who have strong opinions about various comic book characters.
yeah, and the women who grudgingly tolerate them. It's going to be a lot of that.
But it's going to be a really fun show. You have a really great team built.
Solid
so-
lineup, decent conceit. It's called the Grammys. It's modeled after an awards ceremony.
That's a pun. Put that one on the board.
There we go.
Is it okay? We'll count that as the price of our freedom.
Sure, but I'll be giving away an award. So, like for instance, like The award for best sustained 30 seconds of eye contact goes to Alex Creasy. Like that kind of award. I told him that and he was delighted. So it's not like I'm talking at a school here.
No, I could. I was just saying that, making that face because I could definitely see that about Alex Creasy.
At Byron FG on Twitter. Check out my Westward author page. That's all the plugs I have to plug. What about you guys?
Zach, you co-host Stage of Fools podcast, which I just guested on.
Yes, the most recent episode has me and Brian, so the transition will be even easier.
And that's a podcast where you discuss Ease the Royals.
Yes. Trashy.
An incredibly trashy show that has
loosely based on Hamlet, yes.
Far more anal waxing than I thought it would.
It's an incredible factor in the show. It's a recurring theme.
It's a leitmotif, I believe is the term. As for me, coming up February 17th, I'll be appearing at the stand-up show down at the Denver Improv. You can contact me for tickets to that. And I think that'll do it for this episode. Byron, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I really like this podcast.
Yeah.
Have me back. I'll make up a story and I'll prepare.
Yes, please. That'd be great. To have you. Not just, I didn't mean that as like a caddy. Yeah, you'll prepare.
That'd be great if we could get something we could actually use.
I always feel like I'm caddier than I actually am.
He was angrily rolling his eyes and turning away from the microphone as he said it. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, great. Whatever. Zach, thank you as always.
Yeah. I feel like that's unnecessary.
Well, that's what makes it meaningful.
Sure. I guess so. That's sweet.
For everybody here at The Revisionist, I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And I'm Byron Gharam. See you guys.
See you next time.